Hello, welcome to the Caro Kirsch podcast. My name is Caro and this is a video podcast where I like to talk about my cross-stitch progress. And hi, welcome. I believe there is a few new faces in the crowd. It's been a minute. It's been actually a month since I last filmed, but I did drop 3 videos at once. Kind of worked out that way. I had time that weekend to film and edit a bunch of videos, so I just released them all at once because I did my regular Flosstube update, and then I did my mid-year WIT parade, which I'm guessing most of you new people got to my channel from, but I also released a video about my floss organization and my master set where I shared some files on how and kind of a how-to at the end, how to make it yourself. So yeah, if you have not seen those videos, you're welcome to check them out. But anyways, welcome if this is the first time you're actually watching a regular podcast episode of mine. I'm very excited for today because it's been a while and I have a lot of progress to show you guys. Again, it's been about a month. I worked on 6 projects in that month and I added 12,500 stitches to those 6 projects. Yeah. Let's just get into what I've been working on, and I'll just share the projects as they appear here on my Notions list and overview. And the first project that I have to share is a non-full coverage. It's my long dog sampler called Ragnarok. It's a piece that I started as part of the leap year sale in 2024. And this is how it eventually will look like. And yeah, I started in the center top and worked my way to the right hand side corner because I figured out that's how I prefer stitching, kind of from the right to the left. So now I'm kind of working my way over to this corner now. And yeah, I had to put a few stitches in this as part of my Mylestönn Manor game, which is a game created by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. I have the video of her explaining the whole game down below. I have a few adaptations. If you are interested in what I'm doing, you can definitely look up some older videos of mine. I've been obsessed. I started playing this game in like December and I've been obsessed with it since. But this project is actually the only one that I actually worked on as part of the Mylestönn Manor game. So I think, because already last video I haven't been too crazy about Mylestönn Manor, I think the obsession has eased a bit. I'm still playing it, I still like it, but I am allowing to stitch outside of the game way more now, definitely in the past month. But nonetheless, I did complete 1 turn on this. I think I was in the middle of set turn last time I showed this project, but I was working on this bit here. And since last time I added 947 stitches. And this is the full progress of where I am. I'm stitching this on a 36 count linen from a shop called Stickstoff, and I coffee dyed that one myself. And the thread I'm using is silk that I hand dyed with indigo. And this is stitch 1/2. The silk was pretty thick here. This is the silk. I opened up my braid because it was getting so horrendous. And I tried straightening it a little bit. So let's see how long this will stay somewhat organized. But I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to finish the project with this thread. In the beginning, I was just not sure if it would get tangled up way too much to actually pull some thread out. But I think I'm always sort of able to get it back together. But yeah, so the project sits now at 24.8%. So I'm very close to the 25%, which will be a quarter done, which is where I should have been last year, February, if I'm aiming to complete this one by the next leap year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't like stressing myself out. So that's that. But yeah, that's all the Mylestönn Manor stitching I did. There's a few Mylestönn Manor projects here, but I stitched outside of Mylestönn Manor. I was a rebel. The next in my list here is actually my pumpkin spice cottage, which is not the most recent one, but I stitched on this last week mainly. Oh no, this weekend actually. I gave it my prime weekend a stitchy time, and the project I'm talking about is one I've been missing because it's been the favorite and most worked on project the last year, and the project I'm talking about is my very first Gecko Rouge project that I ever got, called Pumpkin Spice Cottage. I started this together with Anna from the Alchemist Stitcher, and yeah, it was our birthday start. And I started in the bottom right, and she started in the bottom left because we both wanted to start with the fun colors. But I've since worked my way up to the house. My goal last year was to complete the pumpkins in front of those doors, which I managed to do. And now I'm working my way up in the hopes of maybe reaching that owl by the fall. Kind of an arbitrary goal. We'll see if I reach that. But yeah, so I'm excited to finally have put some decent work into this. This is actually a project that is in my Mylestönn Manor game, but I stitched outside of the game, and I also reached milestones, but they are not going to count for the game. But yeah, I added 2,154 stitches into this project. I think this weekend I put in 1,800. So I picked it up before once more. But yeah, I completed this page, which is the last time you would have seen me start that page. But yeah, I've since completed it and am now working on this page. So my current plan is to kind of work these 3 pages here and then move up, and then work these 3 pages and then move up. By that rate, I'm probably not going to get to that owl by the fall, so maybe I'll have to break loose from that and then just kind of work page by page to reach that owl. But we'll see. We'll see when we get closer to the fall. I definitely enjoy working this one page by page. And then just although, I don't know, I started working this like by the DMC color order. Now I'm kind of switching between most stitches, the color with the most stitches in that page. And then I stitch the one with the least colors, and then I jump back up to the one with the most colors and kind of work my way through the page that way. But yeah, actually it's a little bit more, makes more sense to work by DMC order, then you're not flipping around in your in my master booklet that much. So maybe I'll go back to that actually. But yeah, really, really happy with the progress. Enjoying this project immensely. I did move the hoop again because I think the last time I moved it, I moved out all my progress, and I really didn't enjoy stitching on it. I think that was part of the reason why I didn't pick it up as much, because it is so motivating to see the progress. So I moved some of the progress back into my hoop just so I can see it, and yeah, now I'm really, really enjoying it. So maybe that helped. But yay, stitching this 1/1 on 25 count. And yeah, it's a Gecko Rouge kit, so it's with DMC. Did I say that the artist is Kate Brazier? I feel like I'm forgetting all the things, but it's awesome. It is really awesome. And I am now at 12.6%. My motivation is to catch up with Anna again. Like last year, I was always like slightly ahead of her, not by much, but just a little bit ahead of her. But now she overtook me. Like when I started playing my Mylestönn Manor game, I totally neglected this one basically for the first half of this year. And Anna just kept on putting more stitches in. I think she's somewhere at 13% now, so I'm trying to catch up to her. Yes, and this project actually, yeah, this project lives in a project bag that I made. And I actually made a project bag for Anna as well. That kind of goes with this one. And she's since received it, so I'm very happy. Okay, So the next project, where do I put this? What's the next on the list? So the next on the list is actually a bit of a surprise. I picked this one up last night because who was I watching? Oh, what's your name? I don't remember your name, but the channel is called Those Missing Stitches. And she took a long break. I think her last regular episode was in the beginning of the year, and she came back with a mid-year whip parade. She just inspired me to pick up this project again. I think she was talking about the artist Yuriko Shiro. And I have a project by him that I have neglected very much since I started it. This one is called The Fool, again by Yuriko Shiro, and it's charted by Thread Geeks. I got this chart last year in November, I believe, when they had a sale going on before they retired a bunch of their artists. And yeah, snagged this one because I had that one on my wish list, even though there's like not a single shade of blue in this chart. I really just like the mood of this. And this artist actually recently has been picked up by Unconventional X-Stitch, which I'm really, really excited by. And I'm gonna talk about them a little bit later, but so far they don't have any charts yet. But if you like this artist and you like Unconventional X-Stitch, keep your eye out. They're gonna be releasing more of his artwork, maybe this one. But I have this by Thread Geeks. I don't think I would repurchase it from Unconventional X-Stitch just to have the different charting. I don't think so. We'll see. But I put some more work into this chart. So yeah, this is where I am. I actually put 981 stitches into this. Maybe this was 2 sessions. I know I got a lot in last night, but maybe this is still the progress of 2 nights. I don't think I managed quite that many last night. But yeah, you're starting to see something. So this is the only chart so far where I'm trying myself at the extreme cross country. This one I picked the 310 first. So the idea is that you stitch all the 310 in the entire chart, and then you go to the next color. So I don't know if I'll do that for the entirety of this project, but the plan is to do this for the 310 at least, because that one kind of makes out the layout of the whole chart, and then all the other colors kind of attach to it, even though if they're maybe a little bit more sprinkled out. So yeah, really enjoying where I got this project to. And yeah, I started this, I think, on the 3rd of December together with Steph from Wild Fox Stitchery. And yeah, haven't really touched it since too much. So yeah, I'm excited, and I just got inspired to pick it up and put some work in. And I might actually keep it out for a little bit longer. So maybe we'll see a little bit more, because we're getting very close to her eyes. Like right now, you can't probably quite tell. I mean, I know this is going to be her hair. This is sort of where her face goes. But once the eyes, or the shadow of the eyes, will go in, it'll be quite apparent where this is going. So I'm excited to keep going and maybe get the eyes in. And maybe once I get the eyes in, I'll switch projects. We'll see. We'll see. But yay, very excited. And this is also a 25 count, and I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross with DMC, because I have a whole cone of DMC. I don't know if I'll stick to DMC in this project, but the 310 is, so maybe the rest will be too. Okay, and then what's the next one in the list? The next one in the list is the one I was stitching on last weekend. Not the recent one, but the one before, where we were in a heat wave. And I was supposed to film that weekend, but we fled. We fled the city because it was cold for way beyond 30 degrees. And we have the access to the lake house of my mom. So we decided to go up to the lake house for the weekend. And I brought the project that eludes the most cool mood ever. And that is my Snowman Cottage, also artwork by Kate Brazier and charted by Gecko Rouge. This one I got as part of their Patreon. I did a tiny little modification. I chopped out a bit of pink snow, like 20 rows or something. So mine is basically a square now. And I also am stitching this on a hand-dyed 25 count Zweigart fabric that is opalescent. And because it is opalescent, can I get the shimmer? Yeah, I think you can get the shimmer a little bit. I decided not to stitch the snow. So yeah, this is in the hoop now, but I reached the other side of the chart. So this is the top right corner now. This one I actually started in the top left for one. I'm still not done, so there's still a few stitches missing up here, but I got some good progress. I think this is a the project with the least amount of stitches. I added 633 stitches on that terribly, terribly hot weekend that we spent at the lake house. But yeah, love this. This gave me cool vibes. And yeah, I'm excited to finish the top row. It'll be my first row finish in any of my projects, I guess. I don't know. You could count the Amazing Loon, I guess, but I'm not really stitching that one by page. So yay. That is awesome. I'm stitching this with DMC. Did I say? No. But I'm basically stitching this with the leftover floss from my Pumpkin Spice Cottage because it uses a lot of the same colors, and the Pumpkin Spice Cottage kit, the kit is for 2/1 full cross, but I'm stitching it 1/1 full cross, so I'll have half of the floss left basically. So this is perfect to use up some of that floss, I hope. Anyways, and the next project is the one with the most progress by far. I stitched on this monogamously for probably like 2 weeks in June, basically starting from my last podcast for like, 2 weeks until we went on that weekend where I then switched to the Snowman Cottage. And yeah, it's my newest full coverage start anyways. It's an adapted version of the Paine-free craft chart called Dark Cinderella. The artwork is by Barrett Biggers, but I did end up charting this one myself. I purchased the chart with the intention of stitching the chart and just cropping it and adjusting a little bit of the image, but since I didn't like the detail of that fairy in the middle, I just ended up charting this one myself and making it a bit bigger. But yeah, this is the mock-up of my charting. And again, I exchanged a few images. This is actually from the Dark Snow White artwork that is also by Barrett Biggers, and sort of a partnering image to this. But yeah, really love this. And I'm stitching this one also again on 25 count, but this one is 2/110 stitch, and I'm stitching this with the Painting a Fairy floss that I'm really happy with. Yeah, what can I say? It feels like DMC, but it has a price of CXC, so it's the best of both worlds, really. And the coverage is really nice, 2/110 on 25 count. And yeah, I added a ton. I added 6,166 stitches since the last time you've seen this. So I guess I'll need to make some room for the before image. But yeah, I ended up sticking to my block by block diagonal. So I am stitching in a 20 by 20 block. So a 400 stitch block, and just picking my color. I finish my thread, so that's why I don't have clean lines. And yeah, just going kind of the diagonal down, and then one over and the diagonal up, and then one over and the diagonal down. And I decided to kind of stop here and work my way over that way. So I'm soon ready to move the hoop because the stitched out stitches from here will start reaching into this area. So I think, not sure where I'm at right now. I think I'm in this block currently. So I think once I'm maybe here, or at the latest here, I'll move the hoop over a little bit. But yeah, really, really loving this project. Started in the top right, if you can't tell. And what's really cool is that this split of the colors is kind of at a 45-degree angle. So it's fun to do the diagonals because you're doing a lot of dark stitches, and then once you get tired of those, you're basically where you're getting into the light stitches again. I mean, I'm gonna get less and less of the light stitches now because the diagonal obviously kind of goes along there. You can already see there's some dark colors coming in here, but we're getting into fun stuff here now. There is this flower coming up soon. So then we'll get into that. I don't think those colors will be too exciting, to be quite honest, but at least we'll finally see something with a bit more shape than what we have going on right now. Right now, you can't really tell what's going on. Those little baubles were kind of fun to do because they were quite distinct. But yeah, this is basically gonna end up just looking like a tree in the final image, but right now you can't quite tell what you're stitching on as you're stitching on it. But I'm hoping that those flowers will shape out while you're stitching a bit more. So we're getting into that. But yeah, really enjoying this. It's now been a little while since I actually stitched on this, but again, I was kind of monogamous on that project for quite some time, which is why I got so much good progress into it. And also because it's a 10 stitch. Like 10 stitch really does go faster. There's just no denying that. And yeah, then the last project is actually a finish. So this is kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever had that, but this might be the 4th finish in a row, and like 4 episodes with a finish each, but they're all quite small. So not too big of a feat, and I'm sure you can expect which one this is, but I had this one started 2 episodes ago. I actually forgot to show you last episode, but I didn't really add that many stitches. But I've since finished Eagle Ravine. So this is a tiny chart by Max Pigeon from Pigeon Coop Designs. And it's from his book that I have. I didn't grab it right now, but I'll show you next time again because there's a second chart that I would like to stitch. But yeah, I stitched this for a smalls exchange for a retreat I'm going to in the fall. I have a really cool, fun idea of how I want to finish this. And I also want to stitch this one, which is the partner design to this, and finish it the same way. And then, so whoever gets this on the retreat will have a buddy object with me. So yay. So I haven't started this one yet, but I want to because yeah, I'll probably fully finish this one first, because that's the most important, that I get one done for the smalls exchange. But yeah, I really hope to also finish this one and also fully finish that one, that I can bring it to the retreat to celebrate the buddy thingy. Anyways, so yes, very happy with this. This is a 14 count Ada, I believe. This might be the very first piece of fabric I ever purchased, and it's just a little leftover bit of it, and stitched 2 over 1 full cross. And there's some partial stitches in there as well. Like Max Pigeon likes to do that. But yeah, I really just like his very minimalistic style, and it's obviously also quite easy to stitch. But yay. So that took me 1,564 stitches to complete. Yay. And that was it. That is all the projects that I've worked on. So if the stitching is all you were here for, then thank you for watching, and I guess I'll see you on my next episode. Sorry, I had to cut here because I started talking about books, which is my next segment, and then I realized I didn't have my phone to kind of look up what books I read and the authors mainly. I'm not very good in remembering authors, but yeah, got my phone and now we can talk about the books I've listened to. So last time already, I talked about the series The Wolf King, that I was listening the second book called The Night Prince in the series, and the whole series is written by Lauren Palfreyman. And the first book was entertaining, it was cute, it was nice, but the second book was really, really good. Not only because they added a third narrator to the duet style narration of the book, and I loved the third narrator. The voice is just delicious. And just a pro tip, never look up narrators. They never look as good as they sound. That's just usually a come down from what you have in your head. But anyways, so he sounds really, really nice. And the book was really good too. So the story really picked up a bit more oomph, I guess. I don't really know. I don't have a good word for that. Because when I already said that last time, when I started the first book, The Wolf King, it felt a little cheesy and easy to predict what was going to happen, but there were actually a few twists and turns in the story that I did not expect. There was obviously the whole romance, which isn't too crazy hard to predict, but it never is with these things. But yeah, the background story that the whole book revolves around actually got a little bit thickened, the plot thickened, so it was really nice. Like the base gist of the story is, I realized I didn't really get into what the books were about. I mean, I don't want to spoil these books, so but yeah, I guess to just give you a rough idea what these things are about. So The Wolf King is basically about a human princess being kidnapped by a werewolf alpha. And brought into the enemy country of the human kingdom, and she's brought before the Wolf King, and they're trying to basically, what's the word? Ransom her for something the werewolves need in order to win the upper hand in the whole fray between humans and werewolves. And yeah, there's obviously some discovery happening of the human princess and some of her heritages, I guess. And there's a love story with that said princess that is developing. So yeah, that's kind of the basic plot. But again, that's kind of what you open up with, and it seems all very predictable, but there's a few twists and turns, as I said, that add to the story and make it quite interesting. But yeah, anyways, so when I was reading that book, I was very excited that the third book in the series would be released in the fall of this year. But I think a week ago, they announced it will not be released until like May next year. So unfortunately, there is a bit of a wait for that, but I will most definitely get the third book in the row, and I'll probably re-listen to both the first two books before that one gets released again. But since I was out of book, I needed something new. So the next book that I picked up was Direbound, which is the first book in the book series called The Wolves of Ruin. This story felt very reminiscent of Fourth Wing. Like, I think in the plot description, they say it's kind of a cross between Fourth Wing and Hunger Games, but honestly, Fourth Wing already has quite a bit of Hunger Games in it, so from my perspective, it is basically just Fourth Wing. It's Fourth Wing, but not with dragons, but with wolves. So you have whatever, you have like two big forces. You have one kingdom that is at war with like a vampiric other kingdom, and they're putting all their war efforts to kind of protecting their boundaries, and they have this sort of elite force called the Bonded, and you need to go through these trials. They're called bonding trials, where warriors bond to these dire wolves, And that's the whole idea. And then once you're bonded and you succeed in these bonding trials, then you're like ready to defend the country against those dark forces outside of the... I'm sorry, I don't really have the English terms for this, even though I'm listening to these things in English, but I guess I'm not very great in repeating stories without giving away too much. But that's kind of the base idea, that's the setting, and that alone already feels like Fourth Wing. But also kind of more the detailed a story that you then have. If you have this woman, she's actually from a poor heritage. I guess that is a little different to the Fourth Wing series. And she kind of just by accident comes into these bonding trials and has to kind of survive these trials and hope to bond by the end with a dire wolf. And I did enjoy it enough that I got the second book in the story. So yeah, the second book in the series was okay. Again, it was very similar to the first book in a sense, how the story developed and how the characters developed, but it was better than the second book in the Fourth Wing, which I don't even think is called Fourth Wing. I think it's called the Empyrean or something. But anyways, so I think in the Empyrean series, the first book, Fourth Wing, was by far the best. I really loved that story. But then the second and third book, I didn't really care for it that much. Here, the second book, which is called Fury Bound, was a bit better. I thought the characters held their own a little bit more and the story was a bit more interesting. So we'll see if I'm interested in listening to the third book, which, when is that one supposed to come out? Oh, that one is actually due to come out by the end of July. So maybe I'll get that one because the story is still fresh in my head. But I was just thinking maybe I won't listen to it because I would have forgotten all of the story by when it gets released. But maybe I'll do that. But yeah, so I'm done with that. And then the next book that I actually started listening to is a re-listen for me, and that is the first of ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. If you're into romantasy at all, I'm sure you've heard of that. You probably already read it. And you probably also know that the sixth book in the series is due to release in the fall of this year. And I figured I'm going to re-listen to the books. And as I was scrolling through my library on my Audible account, I realized I don't even own all the books. So I haven't even listened to all the books. I listened to the books quite a long time ago. And I remember back then, I definitely was also listening to the series... what's it called? A Throne of Glass, also by Sarah J. Maas. And I feel like a third series by Sarah J. Maas. And I listened to all of that kind of in one go and it all just blurred in my mind. So I didn't realize that I didn't actually finish all the books that were out in the A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I think is her most famous and well-loved series. So I figured I'll re-listen to those books. And I got started with the first book, and I actually just see that I got even to the halfway point of that book, but then I kind of put it down again because I have the version of where it's just the female narrator, and I don't care too much for her. And I also remember that I didn't care too much for the first book. I think like kind of the beginning of the story where like the whole idea is that you have, again, it's a human and she gets introduced to the Fae world. It's kind of, again, like this very two opposing worlds, and the humans are very scared of the fairies. And Feyre is the main character. She actually ends up killing a fairy in the very beginning of the book, so I'm not giving away too much. And kind of as a punishment, she needs to come live with fairies in Prythian, is that world called. And she ends up in the court of the High Lord of Spring. And and it just all revolves around that. It turns out there is like a big curse on all the High Lords in Prythian, and she ends up fighting for the fairies to lift that curse and all that kind of comes with it. And that's sort of the plot of the first book. But yes, I didn't enjoy that book too much, and especially if you know where the story is going, I got just a little bit impatient with it. So I decided to just jump into the second book, which is called A Court of Mist and Fury, which I also had just the female narrator version of, but I wanted to give that whole, what's it called, graphic novel, basically a movie in your head, yes, they're saying, where you have like a full cast narrating the book. So every character in the book has a different narrator, and they even have like sounds of whatever is happening in the background. You have music going on. So I wanted to give that format a go. And the main reason why I wanted to give it a go specifically with that book is because the narrator for Resand, who is also a very important character, especially coming into the second book, is done by Anthony Palmini, and I love that voice actor. The first book I actually listened by that voice actor is called Quicksilver, which I haven't mentioned on here. Back then I wasn't really talking about the books I read, but highly recommend. Honestly, I don't even know if I like the book so much or just the narration, but yeah, get the duet. Like if you're interested in that book at all, Quicksilver, get the duet version of Anthony Palmini and whoever is the female character. I'm sorry, I don't remember her, but yeah, I love that book. That was an instant re-listen as well, just because the voice was so good. I'm actually stuck on Brimstone, which is the follow-up on Quicksilver currently. Even though he does it, he's still the dude in the book, but I don't know. The book isn't that great, so I don't know. We'll see if I ever get through that book. But anyways, but that voice narrator, he's doing Resand in the Court of Mist and Fury, and I thought I'll give it a go. But I'm done with both parts. Those graphic novels, they're always split up in two parts, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think it is for me. I know I tried it before once, but I returned that book before I even got really into it. I find it distracting most of the time. I feel like some scenes even get kind of ruined when they pick the wrong music for it. And in other scenes, it's okay. It probably adds to it, but generally speaking, I'm not a big fan. I do like the multiple voices, but I could totally do without all the sound effects, to be quite honest. I just finished that book this morning, so I'll probably get into the third book, which is called A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I have the single narrator version of that one, so I think I'll just do that. Actually, the third book of a series I was talking about last time just dropped today, and that one's called Evergreen Legacy by Heather Schneider. I don't remember what the overall series is called. I think The Botanist Society or something like that. I talked about that series last time. It's a very tame and young adult series about a girl that discovers she is a magical botanist. So it's, as I said last time, it's kind of Harry Potter, but just with plants. So they have magical powers and have affinities with specific plants. Some have affinity with trees, others have affinity with water plants, and others have affinity with mosses and ferns and stuff like that. So it's just kind of cute. I just started listening that book, but this is a book where it's just done by a single female narrator, and she is they just introduced a new character, a guy, and she is doing such a terrible guy job, because I think one line was like in a deep voice, and she's trying to do this deep voice, and I can't stand it. It's horrible. So I don't know. I really hope that character doesn't play a very big role, because I don't think I could stand that. But it seems just a side character, so I'm hoping he's gone after this scene. So I only listened for like 10 minutes or something and kind of put it down and decided, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into that right now after just finishing A Court of Mist and Fury. I think I'm going to watch a few podcasts and give it a day a day's break before I get into the next book, but I was just kind of excited for a new book to come out because I had that one on pre-order, so I just flew right into my library. But yeah, that's kind of my book talk. It's been a few books, and I don't know, with audiobooks, I'm 100% audiobook these days. Like, I don't even remember the last time. Yeah, I think I tried reading the second book of the Fourth Wing series as a physical book, and it took me months because I just don't read physical books anymore. Like, when I have time to read books, I just rather stitch, or nowadays also play video games. So I tend to just listen to audiobooks, but the one drawback with listening to audiobooks, you do miss stuff because you usually do something else while you're listening to the book, so your focus isn't like fully on it, as it were, if you're reading the book with your eyes. So you miss stuff, and as it happens with Akotar, while I was reading or listening to those books, and then also the other series, is all just kind of blurred together if you're not like letting it rest for a little bit between books. But the pro side then is what I'm realizing now with re-listening to those books. It is kind of like the first book I remembered pretty well, but even the second book, I roughly knew like the overarching main things I remembered, but not all the details. So it's actually still quite enjoyable to re-listen to a book. And now getting into book 3, honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen. So it feels to me like I'm listening to this book for the very first time. So that is a pro, that you sort of get to read a series that you already read for the first time again. Not for the first time, but feels very fresh. So yes. I guess that is all that I have on books though. But yeah, since I mentioned it, I also started replaying the Tomb Raider games. As you guys know, I have a Tomb Raider chart inspired by the 3 games that I really love from Lara Croft, or not from Lara Croft, but with Lara Croft. So I started playing kind of I think that one is just called Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. It's the first game kind of telling the story of her beginnings, how she turned into the Tomb Raider and how she became Lara Croft, so to speak. And I really enjoyed those 3 games because there is a new game to be released in February, I think, called something Atlantis, which is a game, it's sort of just a re-release, like they remade the game that already exists, but I actually never played that one. But I think it's quite a big favorite with like the OG Tomb Raider people. But I actually haven't played it, so I would like to get that game in February, and thought it would be cool to replay those games inspired by Nadia from Dark X Stitch. She is replaying those games over on Twitch these days. I think she's already in the 3rd game by now. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to kind of visit her streams lately, just because, I don't know, the timing just never worked out, I guess. But yeah, I was inspired to also get into the game, and I'm actually nearly done with the first game, so maybe I get to play the second game soon. But yeah, that is basically it. As I said, we had a major heat wave coming through Germany and most of Europe. It's still going in places. I know my boss is currently in France at over 40 degrees, which I'm like, gosh, I'm so happy to be here right now, because currently it's cooled down considerably this week. I'm actually wearing long pants for once, but it's also heading towards 30 again for the weekend. So yeah, we're definitely in full swing summer, with a bit of a breather currently, which is good, which I figured is a good time. That's why I'm filming today. Today is a Tuesday of all days. But yeah, I know already. I mean, I'm gone on Friday, so I wouldn't have time anyways, but it's also going to be hot that weekend. So I figured I'll do it now when I'm like nice and comfortable. But yes, that is it. That is all I have for you guys. And if you made it all the way to the end, throw me a book emoji, because that seems to be the new segment that we have going here. I'm very excited about the books I'm reading. Other than that, let me know what you guys are stitching on currently. If you have any projects that I'm stitching on too, that's always super exciting. I feel like my projects aren't very common among cross-stitchers. So yeah, but also let me know if you're stitching on something else. I am curious what you guys do while listening to my podcast. I often do like cooking and things like that. I don't always stitch when I'm listening to other people's podcasts. So yeah, anyways, hope you'll have a great rest of this week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.